So here I'll open it up to Lincoln, and Lincoln, you could maybe make a statement or talk a little bit, have a few remarks, and then you guys can fire away at Lincoln. He's going to take the shots here today.
It's absolutely an honor to be here. A little surreal walking into this environment, into this program. Something that I've wanted for a long time. Something that my wife and I have been very, very picky about over the last few years, as we've been blessed to have some opportunities. So we were looking for a lot of specific things ourselves. Just like Coach said, we were looking for first working for a great person. I've been able to have that with Ruffin McNeil the last several years at East Carolina, and I know what I'm getting into here at Oklahoma, working for Coach Stoops is honestly hard to imagine. Coming to a program like this, coming to a place that's very committed to what we're going to be doing offensively, were things that were very, very important to me. And having a chance to get back a little bit closer to home is a nice bonus too. So it's been a great ride. Things have happened for me quickly. I know I've worked hard, but I've also been very, very fortunate to work for some great people, to have learned from some great people, to be in the right place at the right time. Things have just kind of timed out for me. So I'm very, very humbled, very, very thankful, very, very excited to get to work here, and just can't wait to get started.
Questions for Coach Riley. Lincoln, welcome to Oklahoma, first of all.
Thank you.
And, could you talk about it, in following your career at East Carolina, it looked like you did always take advantage of the personnel you had, and you had stats for running, whatever personnel you had.
Right.
So could you talk about that philosophy and how you do that within your offensive system and how you can take advantage of that?
Yeah, I think that's one of the beautiful things of this offense, is that it can become whatever we need it to become. We'll go recruit certain players for certain positions, certainly, and look at different skill sets. But at the same time, I don't think that we need a lot of specific things to make it work. That's growing up and learning this from Mike Leach and Dana Holgerson and all those guys that I was able to work with at Texas Tech as I was learning. The one thing I always appreciated was how open-minded they were, and I think sometimes coaches can be a little too rigid on what they're looking for, and then I think that can limit you, because if the personnel doesn't fit exactly what you're looking for, you've got a little bit of a disconnect there. I love the personnel that we have here from what I've been able to see early. I know we've got a lot of good players, and we're going to continue to bring in a lot of really good players, and we're going to take a lot of pride in doing what our guys do well, making sure that our best players touch the ball and that we put our guys in position to make as many plays as they can.
Coach, what are your thoughts on Baker Mayfield, and how much of an advantage do you think it'll be that he's played in a system like this before?
Well, I got a chance to watch Baker, obviously, as a freshman at Texas Tech. We tried like heck to get him at East Carolina when he left. He's a very good player. We're going to be very blessed in that quarterback room. I've heard some people on the outside say that's a question mark. To me, we got 3 guys in that room that have started in major college football. So there's plenty to work with in that group. It's a group I've got a chance to meet all those guys. We have what we need in that room to be successful. We've got to get it implemented, get those guys coached up, which we'll get done, but excited about Baker and all the guys in that room.
Lincoln, can you talk about just the process of when you heard from Bob, or how that all went and sort of how it progressed from your perspective?
Yeah, just, started with the phone call, and, one that, when that name pops up on your phone, you answer that call. They brought me up here, and we had a good visit with Coach Stoops and with, the guys on the offensive staff. And, it was just a fit, like Coach Stoops said. He was looking for a specific thing, and Caitlin and I from the other side were looking for a specific thing, and everything just really seemed to fit very well and made a lot of sense.
It looks like tempo is really important to you. Could you talk about that and how tempo comes into your offensive scheme and what you're doing?
Sure. Yeah, it's that's probably one of the things that, as we've you've got all these guys that worked initially under this tree, and as everybody's branched off, you've seen people do different things or put their own flavor on it. And that's been one thing that we've really bought into there. A lot of people honestly thought we played with tempo at Texas Tech, and we really didn't. We we threw it every snap, so we got a lot of plays. That's something East Carolina that we really believed in. We thought it gave us a big advantage. I think our kids really enjoyed playing in that kind of system. It's very appealing here because, we've got great talent, at the skill positions. We've got a lot of guys that we want to touch the ball. And so the more plays we get, the more points we're going to score, the more we can get the ball in these guys' hands.
Is there a certain number in your head when you like to get a play up 12 seconds, 14 seconds, or does that?
No, it's, more of a feel, how we're moving. Our whole deal is whatever it takes to move the ball and score points and help this team win. That's what we'll do. There's some games where I think it's great. There's some situations where you've got to be able to slow it down and run the clock and use clock, and we need to be good at all of them.
Lincoln, what was it like, or let me ask you this, how much did you grow as a coordinator from 2010, that first game against Tulsa, through the 5 seasons, and what was it like for Ruffin to have so much trust in you to bring you along from Tech?
Well, I grew a lot. I called the game after Mike got fired there at the Alamo Bowl, and I thought well, I can call a football game. I'm ready to be an offensive coordinator now, and calling a game, it's certainly part of it, but that's not the biggest part of it. The organization, the preparation, the choosing which ideas you're going to use and which ideas you're not. There's so much more that goes into it. I was very lucky. I was able to learn on the fly. I was able to learn with a guy that gave me a lot of rope. And when I made mistakes, he didn't hold me back or pull the reins. He let me make the mistakes. He let me grow. There's no question I grew a lot in those last 5 years, and I've still got some growing to do. I certainly don't have it all figured out, but that, being able to do that as young as I was a blessing.
Lincoln, how you mentioned your relationship with Ruffin. How difficult was that to decide to move on from that situation?
It was difficult because I had a really strong relationship with those players, with the people there. Ruffin and I were probably as close as they come, but when Coach offered the job, it took about probably 1 second. Yeah.
Lincoln,
I'll say this too, and Ruffin, when I asked Ruffin to talk to Lincoln, he was selling them to me. I said, Ruffin, I've read all about him. You don't have to. But that's the kind of guy Ruffin is. If he felt that's better, good opportunity for him, he was all for it.
Lincoln, a lot of you guys that have gone on to success have held that kind of inside receivers job in this system. How important is it to kind of get the receivers on the same page? They kind of had a down year last year by Oklahoma standards.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. It'll be, at all positions it is. We've got to be completely in sync, and we've got to first do that as a staff, which we will, and have already started on that, and then that's got to translate over to the players. When you play it as fast as we do, there's got to be a lot of trust. There's got to be a lot of trust among everybody involved with it, and so. That's one nice advantage that I have is, having coached receivers and then moved on to quarterbacks. I think I've got a pretty good idea of what we want to do, and we're going to get in there with the staff, and it'll be a group effort. Really looking forward to working with those guys, to bounce off. Bill Biedenbow, I think, is one of the premier offensive line coaches in the country, and had a chance to work with him at Texas Tech, and he was that coach is probably as important as there is in college football, that offensive line coach. So, man, fired up about him. Kel Gundy's been in this offense, obviously been here, for 16 years now, I think. So he's got a strong background. Jay Boulware's a great coach. He can't wait to get started. And then, whoever coach chooses as a receiver coach, will get them implemented. But, we know we've got a good challenge to put it in, but I think that the receivers as well as the rest of the offense is going to be very excited about what we're doing. And we'll be looking forward to getting started with them.
Bob, and because of that relationship that this offense has with its receivers, was it important to you to get Lincoln in here and then kind of let this thing work out, maybe get some of his input on what he thinks?
Oh, absolutely. The getting Lincoln in here first, and our coordinator was the primary goal, and then trust in him and us communicating on where we go from there. But definitely wanted to get this piece set.
Lincoln, I know it's easy to say. You could say Sam Bradford and you'd have it perfect, but is there a style of quarterback, or is there a certain quarterback you look for when you're out on the recruiting trail?
Not really, honestly. I just want a great player there. I mean, we've done it. You can go on down the line. You can look at all the different places that have used, versions of this offense. We've had tall, we've had short, we've had fast, we've had slow. We've got to have a guy that can make decisions. We've got to have the guy that's very accurate with the football. And we want a guy that's a winner. A guy that when he's in the huddle and when he's out there playing, the other 10 guys around him play better. If they can do those few things, then we'll build it around the other characteristics that he may have or not have.
Lincoln, you became a full-time college assistant coach at such a young age. Was that a difficult transition? I mean, I know you've been doing it as a GA and a student assistant, but can you talk sort of about just your, I guess, the rarity of being so young and being in the position you're in?
Yeah, I did. I was 23. Mike hired me as outside receivers coach. He was probably the only head coach in the country crazy enough to do that. And it was a great learning experience. Again, Mike was great for me early in my career. Just again, letting me grow, letting me make mistakes, letting me learn on the fly, and giving me a lot of trust. And then, and then Ruffin certainly was the same way at East Carolina. So yeah, the fact that I've been able to work for two people like that has been such a blessing for me. It's really helped me develop. From everything I've heard about Coach Stoops, did not know him well before this, but obviously I'm very close with a lot of people that have been around him and been in this program, and I think it's going to be a very similar environment here.
Bob, how rare is that for a guy to be a full-time guy on a staff at that age, 23?
That's rare, but when you look at his background and the fact that Mike had been grooming him for 4 years there as a student, he knew what he was getting. I think back to I was the co-coordinator with Jim Levitt at Kansas State, and Brent Venables was a GA. And we had all these guys with all kind of experience. And I told Coach Snyder, I said, but they don't have experience in our system. Brent knows it better than anyone we're going to bring in here. Why don't you let's hire him? And fortunately he did. So, and I look at, what kind of experience has it been? Has it been good or bad experience? And Lincoln's had a lot of good experience at a young age.
Lincoln, when Mike Leach set you down and asked you to be a coach on that staff as a student, did you know you wanted to coach at that point?
I knew I did. I'd always assumed that I would be a high school coach. That's what my mind was set on. I wasn't a big name recruit. My dad wasn't a big name head coach. I had really no ends, I guess you would say. I knew I wanted to coach, but it was just if you know Mike, you never know where he's going to be coming from.
They know.
Yeah, they know. He took the time. I was, like I said, a walk-on quarterback. I'd probably never talked to him for more than 5 minutes, and he brought me in there that summer day and spent like 2 hours for me just selling me on the idea and probably talking about a lot of other subjects that had nothing to do with it. It was for him to do that at that time was, I had to make a decision. It was, do you keep doing the college thing and enjoying it and keep trying the playing thing, or do you want to grow up right now? And, that's the path I chose.
Bob, I'm sure you did your due diligence and talked to people about Lincoln, before that first phone call, but was he already in your mind almost right away, just knowing Mike over the years, knowing what he thought of him?
Definitely. And first it was primarily watching East Carolina, watch them play South Carolina, take them to the wire, watch them in their bowl game, put up points and yards and move the ball against Florida. And, that was primary. And then, your phone calls, lead you to some other people, and two guys I've got great trust in this business, Hal Mumme and Mike Leach are great, are great offensive success stories, but also people I trust and know, and, and guys that, so anyway, and along with Kevin Sumlin, about anyone you asked about Lincoln, they were excited about him.
Lincoln, after your 1 second acceptance, I'm sure the next call was to your wife to say, this is what we're doing, but who are sort of those other immediate contacts, people that are close to you or mentors or people that you reached out to say, wow? Yeah,
man, there was a lot. I think one of you guys maybe jumped the gun a little bit, so my phone blew up a little bit early. There was a lot. There's been so many. You know, Gil Brandt, has become a great mentor and friend. Donnie Duncan, who you guys know extremely well. And so many. You know, Coach Leach. Yeah, a lot of the guys that I've worked with. There was a ton. You know, I've been, again, just to be associated with the people that I've been lucky enough to be around. I've just been the luckiest coach in the world because I've been able to learn, from those guys at a young age, and they've taken a very unselfish interest in me, and they've helped me. They certainly helped me get to this point.
I fielded a call from Gil Brandt about 5 minutes before Lincoln walked in my office. He didn't know he was coming. He says, "Bob, there's a guy you really need to research and look into and check out." And I said, "Gil, he's going to walk in my office in 5 minutes." he loved that.
Lincoln, just to be hired before the dead period came to an end, how much? I know it's probably been a whirlwind for you because of that. I know you've been out recruiting already and on planes and stuff, but what's this time been like for you? How crazy has it been?
It has been crazy, but it's been fun. It's pretty fun walking into these high schools, with those two letters on your chest and knowing that you have a chance with any player, anywhere, anytime. And the staff's been great. Kel Gundy's been instrumental in just kind of helping me get around and get my bearings. And it's they've got a great recruiting class coming in, and we're going to try to. We've obviously got a pretty good product, we think, right now to sell, and adding in what we're going to do offensively. There's a lot of people that are very interested, in coming to play here. So it's it's been a lot of fun. I'm glad we were able to get in and potentially get another guy or two here at the end. And but it certainly has been a whirlwind. There's not much time to think, but it's been great.
Lincoln, the last couple of years here, they've tried to implement more quarterback run game. Is that something that you have used in the past much?
We've used it a little bit. You go back and look. I think our, Shane Carden, our quarterback, ended up having over his 3 years, quite a few rushing touchdowns. We've been selective about when we've used it too. I want to keep those guys healthy. Their number one job is going to be to lead and to distribute. I do think there's a time and place for it, but we'll look at our personnel and see what we have, and if that fits us a little bit, then we'll look to it.
Lincoln, we've seen Leach's offense up close. We've also seen Holgerson's up close. Can you just give us a description of your offense? Is it more like Dana's, evolution-wise? Exactly what's it more like?
Probably closer to currently what they're doing. Probably a little closer to Dana. If you compared it to Dana's or to Mike's, probably a little closer to Dana's. But again, if you go back and look at our offense from 2010 to this year at East Carolina, it changed quite a bit there too. Based on personnel and what we could recruit and the people we were playing against, we had to adapt. And again, that's you asked, if I had to tell you what it's going to look like here, I don't know yet. I don't have a clue. We've got an idea of what we want to do and the base concepts, but we're going to use this personnel. Our best people are going to touch the ball, and we're going to do the best job we can of putting these kids in a position to succeed.
Why did you want to go back to more of the roots of your previous offense?
First, all the success we had in running it, and I would again remind everyone that Quentin Griffin was almost a 2,000-yard rusher in this system. Also, if you look at the top 13 total offenses in the country, 6 of them are from this body of work. 6 of the top 13 in the country total offenses are from this family, and that's pretty strong. And then you look at, I think when I looked at East Carolina, they were in the top 6 or so in third down conversions, top 6 in total offense, top 5 in first downs, and that's moving the ball. Even if you're not scoring, you're moving the football, gaining field position, and there's been a consistent success with this type of system in doing that.
How much just watching teams like Baylor and West Virginia, it was 1999 when you first brought Leach in here, but to still use that same type of system, still win conference championships, did that weigh on you throughout the year, kind of watching these teams?
Well, again, I don't need to go. It's ultimately my fault that we haven't been in it in the last several years, and again, I had a strong I had a strong feeling and commitment that I wanted to be back in it, the best that we're able to, and adapt it to what our personnel and what we can do the best.